The first light of dawn did not feel like morning. It felt like a deadline. Miles Carter sat in the back seat with the sealed envelope on his lap, hands steady, mind moving faster than the car. The paper inside was thin, but the meaning was heavy. Access rosters, maintenance windows, vendor ticket numbers, and one handwritten note that had turned a rumor into a location. Blue Lantern is where they mirror the logs. Rourke has the token. Agent Mallory Grant stared out the windshield as the city shifted from night to grey. Her face didn't show panic, but her posture carried it in a controlled way, like a blade held still. Graham Holt drove without music. No radio, no casual words. His hands read the road like it was a threat assessment. Grant's voice was calm in the earpiece. No sirens, no lights, no hero moves. Miles nodded, even though he knew she couldn't see it. This wasn't a raid. This was a surgical entry into the part of the machine that made the courthouse breathe. Because if Blue Lantern mirrored the logs, it meant one thing. Every time the courthouse cleaned itself, it didn't delete, it copied. And copies were how criminals protected themselves when they knew justice might eventually wake up. Miles opened his tablet and rechecked the data map from EP-10. Rel's notes matched the vendor pathways. Sentinel Ridge appeared like a fingerprint in every layer. Security contracts, software maintenance, data storage. A contractor pretending to be infrastructure. Grant had said it earlier. The courthouse wasn't a building. It was a net. Blue Lantern was where the knots were tied. Grant's phone buzzed once. A secure message from the protection detail. Sofia secure, Mara secure. No contact attempts in the last 3 hours. Grant exhaled slightly, then tightened again, because 3 hours was not peace. 3 hours was repositioning. Miles stared at the envelope again and forced his mind into the rules. Rule 1. Do not say the child's name in open air. Rule 2. Do not give the machine audio it can use. Rule 3. Do not mistake silence for safety. The car turned off the main road and into an industrial corridor of low buildings and closed gates. Blue Lantern's address led to a place that looked like nothing. That was how the machine hid. Not behind luxury, behind boredom. A plain, single-story facility sat near a fenced lot. No neon signs, no obvious branding. Just a small plaque by the front door that read Blue Lantern Systems and a secondary line in smaller text. Records, compliance, and archival services. Grant stared at the plaque. Compliance, she said quietly. Graham replied. That word always means the opposite. Miles looked through the tinted window at the perimeter. 2 cameras at the corners. 1 motion light above the loading door. A keypad entry. A second entrance at the rear, partially obscured by pallets. And 1 security vehicle parked just far enough to feel casual. Sentinel Ridge. Grant spoke into the earpiece again. 2 teams. 1 objective. We do not grab random files. We grab the mirror. We grab the token. We grab the chain. Miles whispered. If Rourke has the token, he may not be here. Grant didn't look away from the building. He will be near whatever matters most, she said. And this matters. Graham slowed the car and parked a block away, angled for a clean exit. Grant opened the envelope carefully, not ripping it, not creating drama. She read the handwritten note again, and then the maintenance window schedule. There, she said. Miles leaned in. A line item showed a scheduled system sync between 5:45 and 6:10 armor. They were inside it. The mirror was awake. Grant's voice lowered. That means, if we enter now, the system is active. It also means if we wait, the system closes and the copy completes. Miles felt the tension tighten in his ribs. If the mirror completed, anything the courthouse had cleaned overnight would be sealed into the backup. Then the machine could rewrite the past with confidence. Grant looked at Graham. Rear entrance, she said. "No front door, no lobby. We go where the servers are." Graham nodded. They moved on foot. No running, no rushing. Just three people walking like they belonged to the morning. Miles carried his tablet and a small device in a plain case. Not a weapon, not a hacking rig. A forensic capture tool meant for one thing, making a clean copy of a system before someone could smear it. Grant wore her badge under her jacket, ready but not visible. She didn't want authority first, she wanted access first. At the rear of the facility, the fence had a narrow gap where pallets were stacked too close. A lazy mistake, or a planned one. Graham tested the gap, then stepped through. The rear door was metal, unmarked, with a keypad. Grant raised her eyebrows slightly. "Miles." Miles approached and held up a printed maintenance sheet from the envelope, the kind of paper that made employees obey without thinking. He pressed the call button. A speaker crackled. "Yeah." Miles kept his voice flat, bored, confident. "Sentinel Ridge, maintenance window, ticket 7418, sync check, need door." A pause, then a click. The door unlocked. Grant didn't smile. That was the first proof. This facility didn't run on law. It ran on vendor authority. They entered. The hallway smelled like cold air and plastic. The lighting was harsh, designed for work, not comfort. A small sign on the wall read Archive Room, and another read Compliance Suite. Compliance again. Grant moved quietly, eyes scanning corners, checking reflections in glass. They reached a corridor intersection and stopped. Footsteps. 2 sets. Not hurried. Controlled. Grant flattened slightly against the wall, motioning for Miles and Graham to hold. 2 men appeared. Not employees. Security posture. Security shoes. Security silence. Sentinel Ridge. They walked past the intersection without looking directly into it, but their pace changed by a fraction. They knew someone was inside. Grant's eyes hardened. The machine had a pulse, and it had felt them. Graham whispered, "We move." Grant nodded. They went deeper. A door marked server suite sat ahead with a keycard panel and a small camera above it. Miles opened the maintenance folder again and found a laminated card in the pocket behind the printed sheets. Vendor access. Rel had provided the path. Miles tapped it. Green light. The door opened. Inside. The temperature dropped. Rows of racks hummed with quiet power. Small LEDs blinked like eyes. A wall monitor showed a status dashboard. Sync in progress. Miles stepped in and felt the room's meaning land in his chest. This wasn't storage. This was the mirror that made corruption safe. Grant's voice was controlled. "Do it." Miles moved to the nearest console and plugged in his forensic device. He didn't type fast. He typed carefully, because clean copies mattered more than speed. A list appeared. Courthouse access logs mirrored in real time. Sealed filing timestamps. Edit histories. Vendor maintenance entries. Credential tokens. Miles's jaw tightened. It was all here. Proof that the courthouse didn't just deny preservation. It preserved selectively. And then he saw a folder name that made his stomach drop. Sofia Protocol. Grant's eyes snapped to him. "Do not open it," she said, sharp. Miles froze for half a second. He understood. The machine wanted them to touch the witness, because touching would let Vale claim contamination. Miles swallowed and moved his cursor away. "I'm not opening," he whispered. "But it exists." Grant nodded once. "That's enough." Miles focused on what mattered. Credential tokens. A list appeared with active and recent tokens, and there it was. Rourke D. Token active. Issued within the last hour. Miles felt his blood cool. "He's here," Miles whispered. Grant's voice was steel. "Where?" Miles scanned the token activity trail. A door reader entry. Compliance suite, 2 minutes ago. Grant looked toward the server room door. "That's not here," she said, That's the other wing. Graham moved to the doorway and listened. More footsteps now, closer. Grant didn't hesitate. Miles, begin capture now. Minimum set. Logs, edit history, token issuance, vendor ticket trail. Nothing else. Miles nodded and initiated the capture. A progress bar appeared. 5 minutes. 5 minutes was an eternity in a building that had already felt them. Grant moved to the wall monitor and looked for cameras. There was a feed grid. Most were internal hallways. One camera showed the rear door. Another showed the corridor outside the server suite. And one showed the compliance suite entrance. Grant's face tightened when she saw it. Damien Rourke stood outside the compliance suite door, calm as always, holding a phone, speaking softly to someone off-screen. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't searching. He was waiting. Grant's voice went low. He knows we're in the server room. Miles whispered, "How?" Grant replied, "Because the machine always knows when someone touches its mirror." Graham watched the corridor feed. 2 Sentinel Ridge men were approaching from the left, another 2 from the right. They weren't running. They were closing. Grant's jaw tightened. "They want us contained," she said. Miles's capture bar crawled forward. 4 minutes remaining. Grant spoke into her earpiece. "Local unit, if we lose signal, we exit with the drive. No pursuit, no confrontation. We need paper proof and digital proof clean." Graham's voice was flat. "They'll try to take the device." Grant nodded. "That's why we don't fight them here," she said. "We finish the capture and leave. They can't uncopy what we already copied." Miles watched the progress bar. 3 minutes. The corridor feed showed the security men stopping near the server room door. One leaned toward the camera, as if making sure they were seen. He wanted the team to feel time. Grant didn't blink. She turned to the console and pulled up one more thing. Vendor tickets. A list displayed recent maintenance requests. And there it was again. Ticket 7418. Sentinel Ridge initiated. Reason: mirror stabilization. Miles felt the meaning hit him. They weren't just copying logs. They were stabilizing the narrative, keeping the mirror clean enough to use in court. Grant stared at the ticket and then spoke quietly. "Vale doesn't just buy judges," she said. "He buys the past." Miles swallowed. 2 minutes. Grant watched the compliance suite camera. Rourke stepped inside. The door shut. Grant's eyes narrowed. "He's doing something," she said. Miles whispered, "Maybe wiping the token trail." Grant replied, "Or moving it." Graham's voice tightened. "Door reader activity. They're swiping the server suite." The handle rattled gently. Not a slam. A test. A message. Miles's capture bar reached 90%. Grant spoke softly, almost to herself. "Come on." But the handle rattled again. Then the hallway lights flickered once. Miles's screen froze for half a second. Grant's face hardened. "They're trying to interrupt capture." Miles's fingers moved faster, not frantic, just decisive. He switched to an offline capture mode. The bar resumed. 95%. Graham kept his hand near the door but didn't brace it. Bracing looked like fear. Fear looked like guilt. And guilt was what Vale sold. The bar reached 98. Then the console pinged. Capture complete. Miles exhaled through clenched teeth and pulled the device free, sealing it into a plain pouch. Grant didn't celebrate. "Now," she said. They moved, not toward the corridor, not toward the rear door. Grant led them toward a side maintenance hatch shown on the camera grid, a small exit that would avoid the funnel. They reached it. Locked. Graham tested it once, then twice, then pulled a small tool and worked the latch without drama. The hatch opened. Cold air hit their faces. They stepped out into a narrow service lane behind the building, and the moment their feet hit the outside concrete, Miles's phone buzzed. Unknown number. A single message. "You copied the mirror. Good." Miles felt ice move through him. Grant's eyes didn't widen. She expected it. Because machines didn't just watch cameras. They watched outcomes. Graham looked toward the street. The Sentinel Ridge vehicle was still parked, but now its engine was on. Grant spoke quietly. "They'll try to follow us to see where the copy goes," she said. Miles whispered, "We can split." Grant nodded. "We do," she said. "Graham, you take the device." Graham's jaw tightened. "You sure?" Grant's voice was calm. "Yes. You disappear. Miles stays with me. We become the visible target." Miles looked at her. "That's a trap," Grant replied. "Yes, for them." Graham took the pouch, tucked it under his jacket, and moved toward the far end of the lane, blending into morning traffic like a man headed to work. Miles and Grant walked the opposite direction toward the sedan. As they reached it, the Sentinel Ridge vehicle rolled forward slowly, matching their pace. Not close enough to justify a call, close enough to feel like a hand on the back of the neck. Grant opened the sedan door and slid in. Miles followed. Graham was already gone. Grant started the car and drove calmly, not speeding, not swerving, just letting the tail think it owned the road. Miles watched the rearview mirror. The security vehicle stayed behind. Grant's voice stayed steady. "Let them follow." Miles swallowed. "Where are we going?" Grant replied. "To a place with cameras and witnesses." Miles nodded, understanding. Visibility wasn't just protection for Rel. It was protection for the team. Grant drove toward a highway interchange where traffic cameras sat on poles like indifferent gods. The tail stayed. Grant's phone buzzed again, this time secure. Protection detail message. Contact attempt. Unknown car near Sofia's relocation point. No breach. Vehicle withdrew. Grant's jaw tightened. "They're moving on, Sofia," Miles whispered. Grant's eyes stayed forward. "They always do," she said. "It's their pressure valve." Miles clenched his hands. "Then we need to hit them before they hit her." Grant replied, "We already did. The mirror is copied. Now we can burn the wrapper." Miles frowned. "What wrapper?" Grant's voice turned colder. "Courthouse denial," she said. "Judicial efficiency. Procedure. The story that makes people stop asking questions." Miles understood. If they could prove logs were mirrored and tokens were issued off-site, the courthouse's denial became suspicious on its face. It turned procedure into obstruction. Grant guided the sedan into a crowded gas station lot and parked near the front doors under bright cameras. The tail had to choose: follow them in and be seen, or stay back and lose them. The security vehicle rolled past slowly, then continued down the road. Grant watched it leave. "They didn't want to be on camera," she said. "Good." Miles whispered, "So what now?" Grant opened her phone and typed a message to her oversight contact. Not a speech, a packet request. Chain of custody. Independent forensic review. Emergency preservation order request, but with one new detail. Offsite mirror. Vendor token. Active issuance. Grant hit send. Then she looked at Miles. "Now we force the courthouse to answer a question it cannot answer cleanly," she said. Miles swallowed. "And Rourke." Grant's eyes narrowed. "Rourke is the token," she said. "He is how they touch systems without being inside them." Miles nodded. Grant continued, calm and sharp. "If we expose the token chain, we expose the handler chain," she said. "And if we expose the handler chain, Vale loses his most valuable asset." Miles's phone buzzed again. Unknown number. An image appeared. A still frame from a security camera inside Blue Lantern. Grant's face, Miles's rolling case, time-stamped. Under it, a caption. "You entered without permission. Now you exit without protection." Miles felt cold push through his ribs. Grant stared at the caption and then spoke in a voice that did not shake. "This is where most teams make the mistake," she said. Miles whispered, "What mistake?" Grant replied, "They go loud. They go angry. They chase the threat." Miles nodded. Grant continued, We don't chase, she said. We make them chase us into daylight. Grant's phone buzzed again. Secure channel this time. Graham's message. Device safe. Copy verified. Token chain captured. Grant exhaled slightly. Then her face hardened again. Good, she said. Now we do the second cut. Miles frowned. There's a second cut. Grant nodded. Blue Lantern is not just storage, she said. It's coordination. She pulled up the capture summary Graham had sent. A list of connected endpoints appeared. One endpoint name made Miles's stomach tighten. St. Alder Behavioral. Miles stared. The clinic, he whispered. Grant's eyes went cold. They're routing through the clinic, she said. Not just holding people, not just moving witnesses, using a medical cover as a network node. Miles swallowed. A place that looked like care. A place that looked like safety. The machine loved medical covers because society trusted them. Grant's voice dropped. That means the courthouse routes and the clinic storage are connected by the same handler chain, she said. And that means Vale can move evidence and people through the same hallways. Miles felt sick. Grant looked down at her phone, then up at Miles. EP-11 is not about stealing data, she said. It's about proving the machine is one machine. Miles whispered, How do we prove it? Grant replied, We make Rourke choose. Miles frowned. Grant's eyes narrowed. He cannot protect the token chain and protect the clinic at the same time if we force him to act in public, she said. Miles felt the plan forming. Pressure him where he has to move. Grant nodded. And when he moves, he leaves prints, she said. Miles's phone buzzed again. Secure chain. Oversight contact reply. Send what you have. Full packet. We will file. Grant's eyes hardened. Now the courthouse can't pretend it's normal, she said. She turned to Miles. Do you trust Rel? She asked. Miles hesitated. He's terrified, he said. Grant nodded. Terror makes people predictable, she said. And predictable is useful. Grant typed a message to Rel through a secure channel. One sentence. They know about Blue Lantern. Do not go home. Go public. Now. Rel replied within seconds. Where? Grant answered. Coffee shop. Cameras. Same table. 10 minutes. Miles's chest tightened. Vane will come. Grant nodded. Yes, she said. And so will the courthouse. Grant drove. This time not to hide. To be seen. The coffee shop was brighter now, morning traffic flowing past like nothing mattered. Grant chose the same table under the camera. Miles sat 2 tables away again, tablet down, posture relaxed. Grant didn't want this to look like a sting. She wanted it to look like a clerk supervisor breaking under guilt, because that story was believable. Rel arrived in 8 minutes. His face was grey. His hands shook. His eyes darted to the doors, the windows, the street. He sat. Grant's voice was low. You did the right thing, she said. Rel swallowed. They're going to kill me. Grant didn't promise safety. She promised structure. They won't if you're visible, she said. They can't delete you in public without becoming the story. Rel's voice cracked. I already am the story. Grant nodded once. Good, she said. Now you decide what kind. Rel slid a second envelope onto the table, smaller, thinner. Grant didn't touch it. What is that? She asked. Rel's voice was barely audible. A token schedule, he whispered. Maintenance window assignments. Names. One name keeps appearing. Grant's eyes narrowed. Rourke, she said. Rel nodded, eyes wet. Miles felt cold certainty. Rourke wasn't a rumor. He was a repeating pattern. Repeats were where the machine hid. Grant leaned in, voice low. Listen carefully, she said to Rel. If they approach, you do not stand up. You do not leave with them. You do not move to the parking lot. Rel swallowed. Grant continued. If you move, you disappear, she said. If you stay, you live. Rel's breathing changed. Then the coffee shop door opened. Thomas Vane walked in, the same calm suit, the same professional emptiness. This time he didn't smile. He scanned the room, eyes landing on Grant, then on Rel, then on the camera in the corner. He saw the camera, and he paused for half a second. That pause was the whole point. Vane approached the table slowly, hands visible, posture calm, voice low enough to feel polite. "Edwin," Vane said gently, "you look unwell." Rel did not answer. Vane's eyes flicked to Grant. "Agent Grant," Vane said, "you're making this worse." Grant's voice stayed calm. "No," she said, "I'm making it visible." Vane leaned in slightly. "Visibility gets people hurt," he said. Grant replied, "In the dark, not here." Vane's jaw tightened. He looked at Rel again. "Come with me," he said softly. "We'll talk somewhere quiet." Grant's eyes hardened. "Quiet is where you delete people," she said. Vane's gaze sharpened, just for a second. Then he smiled faintly, professional again. "Edwin," he said, "please." Rel's hands shook. He looked at Grant like a drowning man looks at a rope. Grant didn't touch him. She didn't rescue him with emotion. She rescued him with instruction. "Stay seated," she said softly. Rel stayed seated. Vane's smile vanished. His eyes went colder. Then his phone buzzed. He looked down. His expression changed by a millimeter. Grant saw it. A new instruction. A new move. Vane glanced toward the window. Outside, a black SUV rolled past slowly. No plates. The same shape of threat. Grant's chest tightened. They were trying again. Not inside the coffee shop. Outside. Waiting for the moment, Rel stepped into daylight alone. Grant spoke calmly to Vane. "You can't take him," she said. "Not without becoming the story." Vane leaned in, voice lower. "You already became the story," he said. "And stories end when people stop believing them." Grant stared at him. Then she did something Vale didn't expect. She smiled. Because she was done being reactive. She was ready to be surgical. Grant stood up slowly and raised her voice just enough for the coffee shop to hear. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, calm and clear. Heads turned. A barista looked up. A man at the counter paused. A woman by the window stared. Vane froze. Because now, if he moved, he would be seen by civilians, not just cameras. Grant looked at Rel. "Edwin is under federal protection," she said clearly. "If anyone attempts to move him, you will be recorded." Vane's eyes hardened. He stepped back half a step. Rel exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Then Grant's phone buzzed. A secure message from Graham. Rourke just moved. Leaving Courthouse Annex, headed toward St. Alda. Grant's eyes sharpened. "That's it," she whispered. Miles understood instantly. They'd forced the token chain to move. Now they had direction. Grant looked at Vane and spoke softly again, just for him. "Tell Vale," she said. "The mirror is copied." Vane's eyes narrowed. Grant continued. "And tell him the clinic is next," she said. Vane didn't answer. He didn't have to. His silence was confirmation. Grant turned and walked out, leaving Vane standing in the coffee shop like a man who had just lost control without ever raising his voice. Miles followed. Outside, the black SUV had stopped at the end of the street. It didn't chase. It waited. Grant didn't look at it. She got into the car and drove the opposite way, toward the next cut. Miles's phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. A single sentence. "You want the clinic. Bring the token." Miles felt cold settle in his chest. Grant's face didn't change, but her voice did. It lowered, hardened, sharpened. "Rourke is baiting us," she said. Miles swallowed. "Do we go anyway?" Grant nodded once. "We go," she said, "but we don't bring the token." Miles frowned. Grant looked at him. "We bring the idea of the token," she said, "and we make him show us where he keeps the real one." Miles felt the plan click into place like a lock. A machine could copy logs. A machine could move witnesses. A machine could buy judges. But a machine still needed one thing: a human hand holding a key. Grant stared down the road toward the morning light. EP-12 starts at St. Alder, she said quietly. Miles swallowed. And if the clinic is already moving, Mara, he asked. Grant's eyes hardened. Then we arrive before the hallway empties, she said. The city kept waking up around them. Cars, coffee, people going to work, ordinary life. But Miles could feel the machine under it now, breathing through courthouses and clinics and contractors who wore professionalism like armor. He looked at the sunrise and felt something he didn't like. Not hope, pressure. Because now the machine knew the team could copy its mirror. And machines that realize they can be exposed do not surrender. They escalate. Grant's phone buzzed again. Protection detail. Attempted approach again. Same unknown car. Different driver. No breach. Grant's jaw tightened. They're still probing Sofia, she said. Miles clenched his hands. Grant's voice stayed steady. Then we end the handler chain, she said. And we end it fast. Graham's voice came through one last time. Rourke's route confirmed. St. Alder in 20. Grant nodded once, eyes forward. Then the dawn isn't over, she said. It's just moving locations. And somewhere ahead, behind the walls of a place that looked like care, a hallway was waiting. A hallway that smelled like disinfectant and lies. A hallway where people disappeared quietly. And this time, the team was done letting the machine stay quiet.